guys. It's bright and early on Monday morning. I'm at 7:50. I'm 5 minutes late for our first book club. My apologies. I was not late getting up or getting dressed, but I did spend a little extra time going through the book and writing a couple notes down. So note to self, I'll have to do that ahead of time. So it is freezing in Fredericksburg, Texas. It says 37, but my car's been in the garage. It's supposed to be about, 23, something crazy. And so, yeah, little Frankie back there, check him out, man. He's like, dude, give me a sweater. I'm cold. Aren't you, Frankie boy? Franken. So, yeah, he's not real happy with this. Coco has her big fine coat on, so she's doing fine. I am wearing very warm clothes because when it's cold, I just can't even deal with the thought of being so cold. So I've got my big sweatshirt on. This is how you start to know you're getting older, when you have clothing that's 20 years old. Let me know if you have an article of clothing in your closet or shoes that are at least 20 years old. I never will forget being in my 20s, and when I was practicing law, we were taking a deposition. They asked this woman how all about these dumb shoes. She had a slip and fall. These dumb tennis shoes. Like, how long have you had the shoes? You know, and I remember she said, oh, I don't know, 20, 25 years. And I almost fell out of my chair because I thought, nobody's had clothes 20 years. I'm 20. I'm 25. You know, she can't have had clothes. But yeah, apparently you can. So I'm wearing a shirt today, sweatshirt, that I have had for 20 years. And I can remember that because it says Oxford University. And I took my mom for her 70th birthday to England in Paris and bought this shirt. So yeah, I'm wearing a 20-year-old sweatshirt today, guys. Okay, so what did everybody think about the book so far? I think I'm going to have to try to figure out which way to give. Let me know if you don't mind how many of you are using the 21st Century Edition, simply because the chapters don't really call themselves. They just change the numbering. The wording's pretty much the same. It's just how they number them. So today my thought was, let's get through kind of some of the intro language, as well as the just the first little short story about the fellow that wanted to go into business with Thomas Edison, Edwin C. Barnes. So there were some great nuggets in the introduction. I don't know if y'all found that, but what I found is I think this is the kind of book where I probably get more out of it reading it, but I'm doing both because I know some of you guys are doing both. And the stories, I think, maybe resonate as well or better in the audio, but some of the business principles, when I go back to highlight, I'm like, oh, that was really good, and I didn't catch that so much in the audio book. So I'm going to do both, because my thought is we can talk about a lot of things, and we can take just little bitty tiny chunks. So if you're not a big reader, we might be talking, 10 pages or something. It's not going to be anything massive that you wouldn't want to overcome. So one of my favorite quotes in the introduction was when they were talking about Carnegie, because, Carnegie hired Napoleon Hill to go and document the success of 500 the most successful men. Notice they're all men. This is 1937, from politicians to businessmen around the country. And I've always been curious because it says he gave him a nominal amount. It says he only paid him travel expenses. And I'm going, well, then did he travel 365 days a year? Because otherwise, how's Napoleon Hill eating? I don't know. In any event, that's what it says. So, he asked Napoleon Hill if he would be interested in spending the next 20 or so years of his life documenting the secrets to success of the most successful people in America, at least. We had a very American-centric vision at the time. So what he told him, he said he took 20, 30 seconds to decide, and Carnegie told him if he had taken 20 or 30 more seconds, if he had taken a minute, he would have rescinded the offer, because the quote I thought was so great is, Carnegie said, a man who cannot reach a decision promptly once he has all the necessary facts cannot be depended upon to carry through any decision he may make. Boy, I love that one. Nothing gets me worse than paralysis by analysis. Have y'all ever heard of that one? You have to do your due diligence on things, and you have to know what you have to know. But the vast majority of people, I think, get so caught up in the minutia of a decision that they just don't get a decision made at all.
Hello, can I get for you?
Large black coffee, please.
Any cream or sugar?
No, thank you.
What else can I get for you?
That's it.
161 first window.
All right. Okay, and so they keep talking about in the book how we're going to have this secret that's going to, which I got to admit, they did a good job of building up interest, talking about how we're going to discover this secret to success. And so another quote, since my line was, these facts give you a fair idea of what reading this book may bring to you, provided you know what it is you want. Boy, how big is that one, right? We actually have to know what we want. That's not very normal in our society today, right? Because we want everything. We expect that. Well, I think we're all a little bit confused, really. Is it okay to say you want financial wealth? Is it okay to say, these things wax and wane through the years? And so you got to know what you want. Is it more time with your family? Is it more ability to travel? Is it the ability to influence and inspire others? I think what he wants us here is, at least part of the secret's going to be, we've got to get specific. We have to know what we want. And very oftentimes we just don't. We start with generic things like, I just want to be happy. Oh, what is that great quote Tom Ferry always uses? Something to the effect of, life rewards the specific request and punishes the vague ask or the vague wish. Isn't that wonderful? It rewards a specific ask and punishes the vague wish. I love that. So we've got to know what we want, or we're not going to find it in this book or anywhere else in life. The world's not going to tell us what we want. It may try to, but I think that's even a worse option. Did you notice it says that the secret is mentioned 100 times throughout the book? But I like this quote. It said, "It has not been directly named, for it seems to work more successfully when it is merely left in sight, where those who are ready for it and searching for it may pick it up." It's pretty good, right? So it's not for everybody. We're not going to shove it down your throat. We're going to lay it there. And if you're ready and if you're looking, you will find it. So I think that's also a fantastic quote about so many things in life. We have to know what we want, and we've got to be looking. Thank you. So the first story we were going to do today was the little mini chapter called Thoughts Are Things. And it's the story of Edwin C. Barnes, the man who wanted to work with Thomas Edison. I mean, he really, thank you, wanted to work with Thomas Edison, who was, arguably the greatest inventor maybe of all time, certainly of his time. And that was his burning desire. He said, unlike most of us, thank you, he had a really big goal, right? Because his goal wasn't to work for Thomas Edison, which probably back in that day, my goodness, 1930-something, or before, would have been a big enough goal, right? You've got to find a way to get across the country. How are you going to do all that? Everybody stayed pretty much close to home and eked out a living. But he didn't want to just work for Thomas Edison. He wanted to be his business partner. So he hops a freight train. I don't know how he got the money, because they don't really tell us. Because it says his biggest problem is he didn't know Thomas Edison, nor how he was going to get to Orange, New Jersey, I think is what he called it, where the headquarters were. Somehow or another, I guess maybe hopping a freight train maybe means it was free. So he took the freight train and looked like a typical tramp or hobo. Words from the 30s you were using. But he hops off and he goes and he sees Mr. Edison at his office, and he tells him he wants to be in business with him. And Edison recalled that it wasn't so much anything he said, it was just that you could see in his mind that he had made a decision to work with Thomas Edison, and that the strength of his thoughts. So thoughts are things is really an interesting concept, right? I think we think no one knows what we think, so we don't give the universe, we don't think necessarily has the power to make things happen, right? And when I say the universe, I don't mean anything mystical. I just simply mean, things tend to happen based on the way we feel about them and the way we treat them. Thoughts are things. Our preacher Tommy gave a great quote yesterday. He said, people tend to think they're right about everything. And it was such a smart point, because he goes, if I didn't think I was right about something, I would change my mind. And he goes, and sometimes I do change my mind because I have been wrong, and then I'm right about everything. So, yeah, that was a pretty good one, right? It makes you stop and think, okay, yeah, I think I'm right about everything, or I would think differently. So in any event, this Edwin C. Barnes starts working for Edison, because he says, I'll give you a minimum wage kind of job. Let you start working. So he does that, but he's on the lookout for opportunity, right? He's not saying, well, you know what, hey, at least I made it this far, and I've got a minimum wage job with Edison, and that's far better than anybody else I know has, so I'm just going to call it a success and put down stakes right here. Well, he didn't do that. He started looking for the opportunity to do more and to reach his ultimate goal, which was to be a business associate. So, gotta love this, Edison comes out with the Ediphone, which was the Edison dictaphone. I think then they called it the Ediphone. So how many of you can remember these days? I can. When you actually used a dictating machine and you would talk into it, and then your secretary would do all the typing. And I remember that well, because I still practice law on the cusp of that ending. So I practiced from 90 to 95. And by the time I left in 95, they were starting to let attorneys use computers just a little bit. Because they really, the way they felt about it, they said, no, your secretary can type that and it's a waste of your time. Your billable hours are too high for you to be typing. And it was frustrating for me as a younger person at that time, coming up knowing I could type and compose better because I'd been doing it in school, typing, backspace, changing, editing as I go, then talking into thin air. But I literally, believe it or not, was on the tail end of that, where we had dictating machines and they wanted us to dictate 30, 40, 50 page papers. So I did that. I would dictate. My secretary would come get it and would bring it back, put it in my inbox. I would take it and I would redline it and make all of these changes, which sometimes it was like 6 little things. Do you know how quickly I could have done that? No. My secretary, Ruthie, had to come back, get the paper, look for my red highlighted notes, go make those changes, print it again. Goodness knows if I made one other small mistake that I didn't catch in time, do it again. No matter how you slice this, we were killing trees left and right. So in any event, we got past those days. But this gentleman saw, just think about it, when they didn't have computers, can you imagine how great the Ediphone would have been? But this guy saw it. And all the other salesmen were negative Nellies and naysayers, and they were like, no, it's not going to take off. I'm not going to be able to sell this thing. But this guy saw it. Barnes saw it. He goes, I can sell it, and I will sell it, and I'll be the best salesman of the dictaphone. So, really neat thing is I did a little research this morning. I was watching a YouTube video while I was getting ready. They still have, this thing came out in like 35-ish, the version he was showing anyway. And he was showing the Ediphone, and how there's still some people, antique collectors, can find blank cartridges. It's like this big cylinder disc. He put it in there and he was talking to it and saying, this is what you might say to your secretary or whatever, who then I guess would probably take it. Would probably use shorthand. Remember that? I never learned shorthand. Write it in shorthand and then type it up long form on those old keyboards that you had to push really hard. I actually learned on those too, but that's not because I'm that old. It's because my school was that poor. It was more the issue going on there. So in any event, he believed in the Ediphone, and he did. He sold it to the point that Edison gave him a contract to be the exclusive distributor for the Ediphone in America. And they said that made him, who knows, maybe $1 million, $2 million, which the new version says probably $50 million in today's time, because he believed in it. And I think he also, when you dig a little deeper, I think he just believed in Edison. So I think he believed if Edison said this Ediphone is the thing of the future, I'm going to get on board. I'm not going to doubt. I'm going to assume he knows more than I do, and I'm going to align myself and partner myself with Edison. And he did, and the rest is history. Barnes made a killing. And another great quote to kind of wrap up today was, when one is truly ready for a thing, it puts in an appearance. Isn't that great? When one is truly ready for a thing, it puts in an appearance. Have you ever had this happen in your life? I think we all have, right? We've got to be looking. We've got to be open. We've got to know what we want. We've got to name it, because life is going to punish the vague wish and reward the specific ask. So that is going to be our job to think about over the next day or so. Let's all do that and think about how can we become much more specific with what we want in life, because we're going to be rewarded for that and punished if we don't bother to do it. So I think this has been a lot of fun. I'm curious to hear what you guys think, and I know you're going to have some interesting inputs, things that I didn't get out of it, and I want to hear them. So please let me know. Tomorrow, I think we will read up until chapter 3, I believe it's called. It's really just some more little small short stories, and I believe it's faith, but I will put in the notes here exactly what we're going to talk about tomorrow morning. Other than that, have an amazing day, and so happy you guys joined me. Tomorrow's going to be a great one as well, but this is a Monday, and you just can't beat a Monday. So let's go out and crush it, guys.